Hi friends, thank you for joining us today. Today we have Balaji Chippada with us. He is one of our students and we are very happy to share his journey from an Infosys software engineer to a data scientist at T-Systems, which is also part of Deutsche Telekom. Congratulations, Balaji, on making this successful transition. So just to give some context, Balaji just landed as a data scientist at T-Systems. For those of you who don't know, T-Systems is a wholly owned subsidiary of Deutsche Telekom, which is Germany's largest, not just Germany's, it's Europe's largest telecommunication provider. And we have had other students who joined Deutsche Telekom in data science and machine learning roles. And they've been very happy both with the quality of work and compensation at Deutsche Telekom. Along with you, we've had some other students who also got placed in this drive.
Yes, sir.
So again, prior to this role, prior to this transition to a data scientist role at T-Systems or Deutsche Telekom, Balaji worked for about 2.5 years as a systems engineer at Infosys. And prior to that, he was a BTech student in electrical and electronics engineering. So again, again, most importantly, I just wanted to put out a few data points here.
Yes,
so
yes.
First and foremost, as a working professional, he successfully completed 30 assignments. On top of it, he did the 2 optional assignments that we give for students to practice. So he has worked very closely with our placements division. As I was just saying, we have had other students who got placed in Deutsche Telekom also. Balaji is one of them. And I'm very sure the quality of work at Deutsche Telekom or T-Systems is very good. But also, I'm very happy to share that you have gotten more than 100% hike in your compensation.
Yes, Verma, that is one of the key points as well for me.
Yeah, unfortunately, we can't share the exact numbers, but it is significantly more. It's certainly more than 100%, but
yes,
because of legal reasons, we'll not be able to share the exact numbers. But congratulations both on the compensation hike and most importantly, the career transition. The career transition to a data scientist role at a company like Deutsche Telekom or T-Systems. That's very, very important.
Thanks a lot, Verma. Thanks to your
and
team
again,
as well.
as I told you, right, you put in the effort, and that's why you should get 90% of the credit, while we put in only the mentorship effort, etc. You put in most of the effort, and you deserve the credit, most of it.
Of course, both of the parties will deserve the credit, Verma. Like if there is no two-sided communication, there will not be success, right?
Right. So let's go into some of the questions, as you are very willing to answer some of the questions. So first thing that we have here is, as a working professional, how did you balance your day-to-day work at Infosys, along with you have done all the assignments, you have been very diligent, you have done, I mean, I've seen some of your assignments, your mentorship work, you have done a very due diligent work, you have been consistent and persistent day in, day out.
Yes, Verma, that is the
thing. I want to understand how you managed your time between your regular office work as a working professional and all the work that you have done, whether it's course content, whether it's assignments, whether taking the mentorship, all of it. How do you balance these two things?
There was quite a bit of story at the start. Like I got to know from this course from a friend. He recommended me. His name is Chanakya. And I took this course out of anxiety and curiosity as well. I took that course, that's it. And for a couple of days, I started, like there was a percentage in the course videos where you watch the video, you click on complete, you will get a percentage of completion. So I used to keep track of that percentage of completion. And for the first 15 days, I completed 20% and I got a lot of confidence. But then the work with Infosys got so cumbersome, I couldn't able to handle the course at that point of time. And I took a lot of break, like at least 3 to 4 months at least. I didn't even look at the course as well. And then I decided, I remembered that the course has 1 year validity and I need to complete my course. So that is the turning point for me where I started taking my course very seriously rather than like along with the job that I have doing, that I've been doing in Infosys. So at that time, I started taking the course seriously and started preparing from module 3, 4, 5, 6. The strategy that I followed and that worked for me actually is, as I don't have that much time to complete the course, what I did is I actually went through entire course videos in a single stretch. Like not even going to assignments. I just went to module 3. And once I watched all the videos of module 3 and go to module 4 and module 5, module 6, like I just simply, whenever I have time, I just open the course.
So you finished first all the video content and then went to assignments. Certainly a valid strategy.
Yeah. So what I did is, while like there is a video at the first starting point of the course where you mentioned some points like learn to learn and make a note of everything. So those 2 points helped me a lot. Like while watching or streaming, like instead of streaming Netflix, streaming this applied AI course, I started taking notes as well. And once I gone through all the course videos, I started doing assignments. And whenever I face some difficulty with assignments, I just go back to that particular videos or the notes that I have prepared, and then revisit those again, and then complete the assignment at that point of time. So that is the kind of strategy that I followed, Varma.
Okay, so this is a valid strategy, but how many hours were you putting in on a daily basis, especially when you got serious?
Like there is no particular time limit that I put myself. Like whenever I have time, I need to do this instead of doing something else. Like I used to have so many hobbies at that time, but when I became serious, I wanted to put everything into one particular thing, which is applied AI course. So there are a couple of days which I not even slept as well.
Okay, so there were days when you stretched, like literally binge watching a Netflix series.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
And then while doing assignments, there are some assignments which require extensive hyperparameter tuning, and my system that I have is not very high end. So there are days where I woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning and started doing assignments, and I slept at till midnight, 2 o'clock in the next day. Like there are only 2 to 3 hours of sleep
that you have put in, and that speaks volumes about the amount of effort that you have put in.
Yes.
And more recently, we have encouraged students to use Google Colab.
Yes. I like after I have gone through a particular point, I got to know about Google Colab and Kaggle notebooks kernels as well. And then it became a little bit easy for me to complete these assignments.
Cool. So I also wanted to understand your interview experience in general. What were the topics that were most important in your interview? How much depth was being expected, especially at a top company like Deutsche Telekom, which is very good in terms of both their interview bar, hiring bar, quality of work, and compensation, right? So just wanted to understand that.
Yeah, there are a couple of things that I noticed as like before Deutsche Telekom, I was interviewed at a couple of companies, not that many. But I noticed this kind of pattern. Right now, deep learning is not at productionized in many companies, like let's say 80% of the companies. So what I would suggest for like someone who is like me, right? Concentrate more on statistics and machine learning algorithms rather than completely going with deep learning. Like everyone feel like deep learning is the key. Deep learning, we have to learn all of these things. But many of the interviews that I faced actually asked so many questions regarding machine learning itself and statistics. Like there are basics of deep learning, like what do you know about deep learning, all that thing, but it is not the depth of questions that you might expect in an interview. So in machine learning itself, I would say focus not completely, most of your time on decision trees and random forest and boosting algorithms. Okay. These three will make a lot of impact, I think.
Cool. But how much depth do you recommend people learn? I mean, do they have to know the mathematical internals, or do they just have to know the high-level stuff, black box?
Mathematics in the sense, like whatever the questions that I faced, right? I tried to explain in a mathematic perspective of way. So that might have helped me. And there are a couple of interviews which ask like, what is the optimization equation for logistic regression? What is the optimization equation for decision trees? Like what kind of things you will do at this kind of point? Like you need to, like whatever the course has taught in the videos, those are the questions.
Okay. So they were more than sufficient to answer most of the questions.
Yes.
The bar will be different for different experienced folks. For example, for a machine learning scientist, the bar would be different. As you rightly pointed out, for many data scientist roles, there is a lot of focus on data analysis, basic machine learning techniques, and even in deep learning, basics of deep learning. Imagine if a company is hiring for, let's say, computer vision role or for role, then they might go into state-of-the-art convolutional neural networks or RNN.
But like given the course contain transformers, BERT, and object detection, I don't think that anyone could go beyond that.
Yes, that's more than sufficient. I mean, we even covered GPT-3 recently. That's almost like the bleeding edge.
I have watched it as well. Yeah.
Cool. So in addition to machine learning and data science, were there also some questions on Python, SQL, and related topics?
Like so many companies has first round which is having a test, something like Python test or objective kind of test or maybe machine learning kind of test. It is not compulsory that you will have a test, but it is very like so many companies will prefer that. But I do think that we need to be prepared to do that as well. So once you complete that, then they will have a technical interview. And there are companies who are having second round of technical interview, and like Deutsche Telekom, and then they are having a manager round, and then completely go with HR round. This is the process that they have followed in general. Yeah.
So even nowadays, even at Applied AI course, when we work with companies, we are asking these companies to conduct a first screening test or a screening task.
Yes,
and again, companies also like this. The reason being, again, this also helps our students, because students who know the concepts, irrespective of their background, they could come from a data science background, they could come from an electrical engineering background, they could come from any background, they could be a BSc student, it could be anything, or they could be somebody with 10 years experience, right?
Yes.
But a screening test is a very nice way to be unbiased about the resume and prior experience. If a person has talent, they get interviewed, right?
Yes,
This is worked very, very well. Like the screening test or the screening task model has worked very well. It has worked wonders, because earlier we used to only share resumes, and when people were getting rejected, we didn't have anything to do. But now with screening tests, we have concrete data. Okay, you didn't clear this exam because you're lacking here. You can improve here and things like that. And I'm happy that a lot of companies are going through this screening test model or screening task model. So another question I had was, what suggestions do you have for students like you with 2 to 3 years of work experience, right? In an IT services company, especially coming from a non-CS background, right? So what sort of, what do you suggest them to focus most on, whether they are applied AI students or otherwise, right? So for somebody with your experience, what are your suggestions?
There are a couple of things that I noticed in my journey. First, there is always a learn to learn thing that you like mentioned in the starting of the videos. That is for sure. And then make a note of everything that you have watched or you have listened or you have learned everything. Like make a note of everything, because it will be hard to go and search for the videos for a specific topic in the entire course section, right? So if you have written a notes for yourself, you would know where the topic particular present is. So then you can refer easily. And then concentrate more on how algorithms work instead of coding itself. Like coding will not be asked in an interview most probably. So they will ask the conceptual, like how the algorithm will work and how you will do to, like what you will do to make the algorithm better. So this is the kind of approach that they have to do. And then, as your course mentioned, we need to build a strong portfolio, because I don't have any relevant experience. The case a lot in my interview.
Oh, so the case studies helped you enormously in your actual interviews.
Yes, like the course asks us to build a case study from end to end, like from the scratch to the deployment phase as well. Like I even try to deploy it as well after watching your videos. So that helped me a lot. So the company will get a knowledge, like I have a knowledge, like how I can build an entire end-to-end problem without any help if possible. So these case studies will help a lot. And I do think that everyone should do case study on their own instead of copying someone else. Like I know it is not possible, but you need to be very thorough with each and every line of code that you do in case study. As you, like there are rules in your organization as well, right? You'll ask us to explain each and every code in the evaluation of the case study. That helped me a lot. And then once you're done with the course, talk with the placements team, and then get your resume fixed up. That is the main thing. Like interviewer will look at your resume and they will ask questions in your resume. They will not go beyond that. So whatever you keep in resume, it should be pakka perfect. And once that is done, you apply via Applied AI course, or you apply via LinkedIn, Naukri, Indeed. These are the 3 platforms that I used externally other than Applied AI course.
Cool. Again, we strongly recommend our students to apply both via us and also through other channels, because that's always the best way. Why leave out options? And maybe we missed an option that you can catch via LinkedIn or Naukri. So we strongly recommend our students to apply everywhere. Cool. Is there anything that you want to add that you think I may have missed in my list of questions?
Not messed up. I just want to stress it out again. Like instead you put out the effort, it will not be possible. That is for sure.
Oh, so yes, you're right. Students have to put in, like, even though, say, we see a lot of students for whom we answer like, so we have students whom we answer 500 plus questions in a year, right?
Yes.
So there are assignments where we keep giving feedback, keep giving hints. How much ever we push, right? How much ever we tell, the heavy lifting is always with the student. That's why we always tell students that you should be ready to put in 10 to 15 hours of consistent effort. Because that's why at the very beginning also, I gave most of the credit to you, because we will help you. But 70-80% of the effort is in your shoes. We will certainly, as you're progressing anywhere you're stuck, we will jump in, we will course correct, we will guide you. Like even in mock interviews, right? We see a lot of students who don't perform in the first mock interview. We give them feedback.
I forgot, mock interviews also do help a lot, because it will give you a confidence that, like, if you do well in mock interview, it will give you a confidence that you can do in original interview. And if you are not doing well in mock interview, it will give you an idea where you can develop yourself. So that is one more thing I liked a lot.
Cool. Yeah, the reason we conduct mock interviews is, even if in the halfway of the course, the reason we do the first mock interview then is to give you a reality check on where you stand. And we have seen students who performed terribly in the first mock interview, who have taken that feedback, second mock interview, they've done very well, and they've got into good companies at the end.
And I have one more suggestion.
Yes, please.
Like, people like us are not natively from CS background. So while your organization will reply us within 4 to 5 hours daily when we have a doubt, I think it is much advantage if you have a friend who can help with you as well.
Cool.
Like, I have a friend, whenever I got struck, he will guide me through. Like, whenever, like, I will just email you, and then I will contact my friend. Once I get a reply from him, I will get a reply from you as well, like quickly as well. And then, like, that helped me a lot. Like I completed the entire course along with the case studies under 4 months, I think.
Cool.
At the end. So I think having a friend, like, the friend is also from, like, he's also completed applied AI course as well. Cool. So that is one of the key aspects, because he knows what is the content and structure of the assignments. So there he guided me on how I can go ahead. So that helped me a lot. And whenever we both don't know, we'll directly keep an email to applied AI as well.
Very nice. Actually, it's a very nice suggestion. The reason we have the Slack group is to create these friendships, right? Yes, we have a student Slack group, right? Where students can discuss.
Yeah.
The reason we started the whole Slack group for our students, where we don't interfere much, except during the live sessions where we do chat. The reason for that is you can find, so this is like pair learning, right? So you have another person who is roughly at the same level as you are, and you both are working together to work together. Of course, you should avoid plagiarism. You can always discuss strategies, avoid plagiarism, and make progress.
That is for sure. Like, the friend who, like, whenever, like, he will not encourage the code. That's for sure.
Very good.
He will just guide me on how I can approach the problem. That is the kind of friend we need.
Yes. That's the kind of friendships that we want more and more students to build through the Slack group, so that the friend can push you. It's like going to gym, right? When you
Verma. That is
so. You don't want to go to the gym or go for the run, the friend will pull you. One day he doesn't want to go, we pull them.
We will pull him.
Yeah. It's a very nice strategy. We strongly recommend our students to build these friendships in the Slack group, work maybe group of 2, group of 3, so that they can pull each other forward and succeed as a group. Cool.
Yes, Verma.
Thank you, Balaji. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Verma.
Thank you for very nice suggestions and very constructive feedback, both for our students as well as for us. And again, let me reiterate, most of the credit goes to you. You deserve it. You've put in the effort. We have just been on the sidelines helping you as you progress. Thank you very much.
Like, there are a couple of things, Verma. Like, your organization has structured the course in a way it will be very easy to follow. And second thing is, the way you teach is literally very, like, spoon feeding us.
Cool.
So those two things also helped a lot. Yeah.
Okay, Balaji. Thank you very much. Thank you for your time. And thanks on behalf of the whole team at Applied AI course and all of the students and all of the learners who are watching this via various channels. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Verma. Thanks for having me, and convey my thanks to your entire team as well.
Sure. I will. Thank you.